Um, so what I was talking about, the designers, the electrical electronics engineers, they do the design. But after that, lot of simulation software tools should be used to make it sure that that design will work perfectly after fabrication, after you print it on silicon, that will work. Why? Because the fabrication process is so costly that you cannot try on that. Okay, I have designed this, just fabricate it and let me see whether it works or not. That will not happen because it is so costly. Once your silicon goes wrong, it's a lot of money that will be wasted. So, on the basis of that thing, on the basis of that thing, the software tools came into picture in hardware designing. So people started verifying those designs using a number of software tools. Those are called EDA, Electronic Design Automation. They want to verify by simulation that, okay, whatever we wanted to do. Hello, is there a question?
Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir.
Nothing.
Okay. There is people want to
Yes.
verify. People want to verify whether whatever they have designed that is working fine. That is basically because by verification, by simulating the this thing. And after that, a lot of steps came into picture. Earlier, people used to directly design the gates or transistors. After that, high-level language came, like Verilog, VHDL. People stopped designing with SPICE or something, inferring the transistors, gates, or components. They started designing by the textual description, that is called hardware description language, HDL. Verilog is most commonly used. VHDL is also used in Europe and other countries, but we generally use Verilog. So those are high-level languages like C. So their tools are needed to translate those designs into some gates or circuits or transistors. So those are done by software tools, not by hand. And there are many other tools we'll see along my talk today. Need there is a lot of software tools to make our VLSI design perfect, robust, and success at the first time after silicon. Moving on to the next slide. So, what is the what is done? So this open source, sorry, what is done? That out of that, people started to develop the software tools. This started early in the 80s. From the 80s itself, they started like, SPICE. That is a tool that was developed back in 1980 or 80 to 85, that time frame. And a lot of other tools, the researchers and engineers, they started to
ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್
bend.
ಮಾತಾಡಾಯ್ತು ಯಾವ
So
ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು
those tools, the designers started to use, uh, and what happened?
ಏನ್ ಕಟ್ ಕಟ್
Those
ಆಗ್ತದೆ
tools
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ
were
ಏನ್
those tools were used by or written by the students, maybe in University of California, Berkeley, and MITs, and all those things. But after that tools were kind of
ಮತ್ತೆ
there were nobody
ಇನ್ನು
to
ಗುರುವಾರ
look
ಶುಕ್ರವಾರ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ಶಿ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ ವೆಲ್
um, there were nobody to look after those tools. And the commercial
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್
companies
ಅದೊಂದೇ
like
ಅಲ್ಲ
Synopsys
ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಸರ್ಜರಿ
and
ಅಲ್ಲ.
other, there is some background talk. I would request to mute yourself. Okay. So, what commercial companies like Synopsys, Cadence, and their previous companies like GetView and other small companies, they took those softwares written in universities and they made it robust and high capacity software tools, and they started selling them. Nowadays, those softwares are very good because they were used by a lot of companies, and those are very costly. If you imagine a synthesis tool, DC, Design Compiler by Synopsys, it's very like one license. You have to pay maybe $2 lakh, $200,000 for a year. And small companies and mid-sized companies cannot even think about buying those. So that kind of money you need to design, but not everybody has that money. And suppose even one has money, don't want to spend in the beginning. Suppose these is trying to do some crypto chips or some security chips, or they want to try their ideas before they invest heavily. So there are many such scenarios where we need some software. Still, we need some software tools to verify or make sure our designs are correct. But we are not in a position to spend that much of time, money. So this need gave rise to open source software. And open source not only in VLSI design, but it exists in other field of work also. In web it is used very much, like web server, PHP, then cloud computing, and like Mass by Ubuntu, all those things are there. But in VLSI design, it is very critical because the money involved is very high. So people were skeptical about using open source tools because, first of all, they were not currently maintained properly, and the other problems are there. But still, there is a new wave which is coming up. People have started developing those tools or maintaining those tools and adding more algorithms to that, so that those who are want to use, they find those tools useful. So based on that need, and the number of designs are being tried out these days, one project called Open Road, as you see in the screen, the Open Road project has been started. A little bit background about that. I have not noted or listed this because I don't know whether it will be as classified information or not. Open Road project is funded by US Defense. So, and it's a project started in UC San Diego. UC stands for University of California, San Diego. And there is a professor who started this with that fund. It's a kind of few $1 million fund is funded. And he and his researchers, some students, they took the available open source electronic design automation tools, and they started to make it robust. They started to maintain it, and they started to use it and tape out some designs, some small designs, to prove that yes, it is possible. So OpenRoad is one of those initiatives. I'll talk about a few more initiatives later. Let us now start with OpenRoad. So what I'm going to talk about, like what is OpenRoad and what are there, which tools are there in this OpenRoad project. Um, Moving on to the next slide. This is more or less the OpenRoad project, and uh, the idea is to create no human in the loop hardware compiler for translating source code to layouts of system on chip, system in packages, and printed circuit boards in less than 24 hours. This is a very ambitious statement, but they started it, and in VLSI Design Conference 2019 in January, that happened in Bangalore, Leela Palace Hotel. I attended. I particularly attended their tutorial. Professor from San Diego, and with his one student, they came here and they demonstrated what they have done. They had a tutorial on this. So they were able to demonstrate, yes, if you have a Verilog design, a small digital design, for example, SPI protocol or I2C protocol, a small design like 1,000 lines of Verilog code, and they call their script, and you don't interfere, let it run for 24 hours. Yes, it can give you the layout. And if time permits, today I will show uh, even smaller design, so that we can at least see that, yes, if we have a small Verilog design, it can be taped out. But let us discuss first what is there. So, UC San Diego under OpenRoad project, they started taking up the available open source projects, yes, tools, and they restructured it. The algorithms were tightened up. They fixed a lot of bugs and made it robust. And what they have done in that, in the backend design, like in the layout, in the routing section, there is lot of algorithms which are heuristic in nature. There is no good solution or best solution. There is just one solution, and the heuristics algorithm the works in this way. Like if it can predict or start with a good assumption, it can give you the good result. But if the first assumption is somewhat wrong, it cannot give you like good outcome. They have introduced AI, artificial intelligence, in this in their tool, most of the backend tools, routing, and that they were claiming that that can give us the best routing, best placement of cells and systems or blocks there. And the other thing is, since it is AI based, you don't have to interfere. If some algorithm goes wrong, it can automatically correct itself. It will learn from that experience, because all those libraries, AI, ML libraries are inbuilt these tools. So it can do a much better job within much less time. Digital tool flows for chip, package, and board. And important, they with their tools, you can generate the PCBs also with the system on chip that was being taped out. So that is added advantage. But they did not show that in this tutorial in 2019 conference in Bangalore. They just showed us the taped out GDS2 stream. But yeah, I mean, they are still working on it, and US Defense is still funding them. Hopefully, they will come up with better tools. Um, so, one thing is taping out, but definitely what like Atom or Skylake, those kind of big chips by Intel or Ryzen from AMD, those kind of big processor, big chips, obviously cannot be done by these tools because these tools are not mature enough, or nobody has tried. If we try it, obviously these will mature. These tools will mature, and sometime in future they'll also be can handle them. Still, it is a very interesting feature for researchers. How you may not be your end goal may not be taping out or fabricating the chip, but definitely if you are coming up with some IPs, some protocols or some circuits which are innovative in nature, you want to patent on those things, you can easily use these tools and prove that yes, your designing, your circuit works better. And based on these tools, without spending a penny itself, you can prove that yes, your design, you have a better IP, better performance, or better data handling, or this thing. You can go for patents or go for research papers, even whatever. So this is very good. Earlier, researchers could not use the open source tools because these tools the basis of the results it was questionable whether the results are really we can trust them or not. But after these efforts, people know the designing community knows that yes, we can trust the results of these tools. That is these things, and that's about open road. I'll show you what is there inside open road in the next slide. This is the part of open road project. I hope the slides are visible. This is a black slide. With left side there is a flow diagram, and right side there is a little bit of description. So what we do here, we have our Verilog, and we give libraries. Libraries means the cell libraries and constraints. Constraints means some restrictions to the design, like which signal is what, and if this signal can be up, that signal cannot be down, like that. Some constraints that we call. It has the synthesis tool, Yosis. I'll talk about Yosis in little bit detail later, much later, maybe after 1 hour of today itself. Synthesis tool, this will translate my Verilog file to the gate level description in terms of AND gate, OR gate, and basic gates. Layout, it has Magic. Magic is a standard tool, very much standard tool. Magic is widely used in by some other many people because Magic is somewhat industry standard tool, or it is comparable to commercial tool, and Yosis is also comparable. Why? Because these two tools, after some certain time, uh, um, these code base, this code base was taken by two separate companies, and on top of that, they have designed their commercial tool, and that commercial tool is very successful. So that is why these are very two good tools, and these two tools are taken as it is and not modified by the professors in UC San Diego. They are as it is in OpenRoad project, but rest of the tools in this flow, OpenRoad flow, they are developed by UCSD, but not from scratch. They also took the open source, whatever available, but those tools they have modified, fixed the bug, made it robust in heavily. So you can say that those tools are almost they are brain, and they have added artificial intelligence and machine learning onto those tools. So logic synthesis is Yosis, and layout finishing is the magic. So rest of the tools like floor planning, placement, clock tree synthesis, global and detailed routing, these four tools are designed by UCSD, and here and practically of times run fast, and layout is also, it is time consuming, but okay, but this floor planning, placement, CTS and routing, these are very time consuming, and you are not sure whether the output what you have got, it's the best or at least optimum you can have. Then we had to do manual iterations to get better results. Or by seeing the layout, we know from our experience that this is not good. Let us run the tool once again. Once it run it again it can run for days. Those tools. So those are kind of they trying to solve that problem so that when the output comes, it is the best one using AI and ML. That is the beauty of OpenRoad project. And 24 hours automated. If you go to their website, OpenRoad project, they are advertising it heavily with this tagline like 24 hours automated, no human interventions. Um, um, no interventions like that. So, but remember, this is a fancy tagline. We all know that depends on the amount of the code it has, the complexity of design, uh, the sequential blocks that will be dependent on it. And one more thing I want to highlight here, once you have added AI and ML, artificial intelligence and ML, those are kind of parallel algorithms, in nature. And you know, parallel algorithms, um, you need to run parallel code or parallel algorithms, parallel computer science, or you need GPU. CPUs are not good for this. It will take a lot of time, and CPUs with hyper threading is must. CPUs with multi-core is better, and with virtualization technology built in. So you need definitely, if you are using AI ML on CPUs, the CPUs needs to be very latest with multi-core virtualization support and all these things. But If you have GPUs, then it's must. It's very good. It's the best for running this thing. And GPUs takes a lot of power. So to run open road in true sense, you need a great hardware, great processor, great RAMs, and those things. Just to add. I hope everything is fine. Everybody is able to see, hear,
సరే సరే
and
సరే
okay. Okay. So here, open road. I'll stop talking about that. You can go to their website, Open Road. You can Google it and you can go for that. Because why I'm not talking more about that? Because that is already funded by US Defense. So and those people are getting the fund. So I think, and they are doing the work. I think they should make a propaganda to reach out the students, faculty, researchers worldwide to use their tool, and they should do the publicity. But in the interest or completeness of today's talk, and to make you aware, I have added Open Road in my talk today. Open lane. This slide shows open lane toolset. Open lane is another effort to consolidate all the basic or must have open source tools to do a VLSI design till fabrication. So this is separate from Open Road. Open Road is a separate project funded by US Defense. Open Lane is another effort. In Open Lane also, there are tools which are common to them. So what is the good about it, or why should we know about Open Lane toolset? Open Lane toolset has been adopted by efabless.com. So what is efabless.com? See, everything is fine. All the software tools are fine. Whatever tools you do, and if your design is small, we can do a lot of things by hand also, because we are all intelligent people. We know electronics and all those things. But at the end, when you want to make a silicon, you have to reach to a fabrication process. So that is very important. And if you want to verify whether your chip will comply or will abide by the design rules of the fab, then we need some basic files like LEF, DEF files, and design rules from the fabrication unit like TSMC, Samsung, Global Foundries. If we don't have those process files, the software cannot do anything. It cannot tell you whether your chip will be manufactured properly. You cannot do verification. Almost the backend activity is hot. We cannot do anything. This is a big bottleneck for using because people give the latest process files like not 20 nanometer, 45 nanometer, 28 nanometer. Those are still outdated technology, but still they are not ready to make it public, make it open source. So the fab we can do anything, but we will not be sure whether my design after manufacturing, after making silicon, it will work or not. And you can say here all faculties and researchers, students are there. You can say, okay, we have free licenses from Cadence, Synopsys. We can anyway build that. We can verify. Yes, you can verify, but remember those files also are not genuine files from the fab. And the second thing is IP. If you go for manufacturing with your IP, that IP became the property of the tools or something like that. I'm not sure, but you are bound. You cannot go for. You can use them those tools, industry standard tools. They are good. They are not restricted license. They are not like they are not giving some toy kind of tool. This is very good industry standard tools, but you cannot go for fabrication. Those kind of NDAs are there. All the universities and colleges has to sign that thing. And if you are that can be used for learning only. And even if you are having your own IP, you are trying to do that. And I don't know, there is maybe some mechanism they can catch and they can claim, yes, this IP was developed by using our tool. So this IP belongs to us. So those kind of complications are there uh, using the educational version of those tools. Uh, so what is the solution? The solution is eFabulous.com. It's a company. They have come up with a what you call um, a scheme. You can say they are giving 130 nanometer, which is kind of like 20 years back technology. Today we are maybe 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer, but they are giving 130 nanometer proper through genuine design tools, genuine process files, left, def, and DRC files, all those things. And what they are saying is, if you sign up with us, you can use this open lane flow, all the tool set. You can design that. You can generate your GTS2 that is valid. And if you tell us to manufacture, we will manufacture and give you back the silicon. Yes, that's true. They will give you the silicon, eFabulous.com. And OpenLane is their tool set of open source tools. So what if you Google it, you will get all the information, but still I'll tell you, you have to go to the efabulous.com website and you have to sign up with your like social account, means either Google, Facebook, or LinkedIn. They prefer LinkedIn account to be used to sign up in efabulous.com. And all the tools you can use in their server. It is a cloud-based infrastructure. You don't have to have your own Linux machine, or don't worry about the power of processors or their like technology. You can use their um, web-based controls to design and use those tools, synthesize, timing, and routing, and at the end you can get GDS2. And you can send those GDS2 to them. They will fabricate it. There are some many contracts you have to sign. Those complications are there still, but still you can design your chips almost investing negligible money. I believe the first few chips will be free. I think so. But if you want to go for like more volume, you have to pay very little, and no upfront fee. I think you will get your chip free of cost at the beginning, but after if you want to go for volume manufacture and all those things, then you have to pay, or if you ordering more chips, more die basically, then you have to pay. Many kind of schemes are there. The bottom line is many kind of schemes are there. You can look at it, and the best thing is if you are not if you are not going for manufacturing, it's everything is free and no installation by yourselves, nothing, but you have to read their way of working, how to use them, make yourself familiar with this OpenLAN and efabless.com infrastructure. You can do your stuff there. Moving on to the next slide. OpenLAN, what is there inside OpenLAN? Includes Open Road. You can say it's a superset of Open Road. Means OpenLAN has all the tools from Open Road, plus in addition some other open source tools. And since they are backed by a fab, maybe it is a 113 nanometer, like very old technology, but still you can manufacture. So a lot of success stories, and the best thing for what people are doing in OpenLAN is designing analog IPs. Digital, not much, but analog design is small but very important. If you want to design your PLL is a hot topic in today's digital design, any design, PLL. Then memories. There are a lot of analog components in memories. And then ADCs, A to D converters, D to A converters. Those are analog circuits, but very high demand. And with low power. So people are doing a lot of work on analog designs in efabless.com using OpenLAN. But still there are a few digital design success there also. And one very little but very important, they have a tool called Fault. So you can see many open source simulator. There are a lot of layout open source also tool, but you will not see a single DFT tool designed for testability, like scan insertion, sound pressure, ATPG. But this OpenLAN project, they have included one tool is Fault. Fault is not very popular, and I have personally not used it. But so I cannot tell the quality of Fault, but still they claim that yes, you can do test generation, so that you can do high volume manufacturing test and all those things. This is the added advantage. The right hand picture shows the flow, OpenLAN flow. So you have your Verilog design that the designer has to write. That is design. It can be analog, Verilog AMS, using Verilog AMS or any other format. For design digital, it should be Verilog design. After that, EOSys takes over. It does RTL synthesis, converts the Verilog textual description into gate level description. After that, you do STA, static timing analysis. OpenSTA is the open source tool which does a good job for timing analysis. You can verify that your timing is good, critical path is not violating the spec of this thing. Then after that, you do DFT with Fault. And after DFT, test generation, scan insertion, all those things, you go for backend. This backend, as I told earlier, the Open Road project is specialized for backend, and they have added AI ML also. Uh, so on this whole flow, backend flow, from floor planning, placement, clock tree synthesis, optimizations, routing, all are taken, all the tools taken from Open Road. Um, and after you do that, you get your GDS2, uh, uh, GDS2, and LEC and LVS layout versus schematic. All those tools are taken from the open source, and you can do verify your GDS2 with your design. And after that, there are other tools like RC extraction. RC extraction. RC extraction is done like you do your parasitics and all those things. It's a little elaborate, which are done in industry standard way. You can do using OpenLAN.
Now it's visible, sir.
Visible, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the third project or effort, and you can say this is the simplest. This is the simplest way you can use the open source tools methodology. This is by this methods or this flow is named Qflow, and for this thing you have to install all the open source tools on in your Linux box, and you can use you can be on your own. And all these are tools part of OpenLAN and Open Road also. And so these are standard tools, good quality tools. You can trust their results, and they are very good. So the background picture in this slide shows the GUI. So it is very nice. I like it, and I use it very much. It's a GUI interface for all the tools, and if you can run it through the GUI one by one, all the tools, and you can see the results. And if you don't like the GUI, you can run all the tools from the command line also. So this is a ASIC SOC design flow, mainly targeted for digital design, and all the things are digital. All the tools are open source tool and GUI. So let us see what are the steps there in preparation, and I'll show a little demo on this also. So preparation is done. You set your technology, like what is the technology node you want to use, and what are the Verilog files you have, what is the top module name, everything in the GUI, and then you can run. It is create the basic directory structures for the subsequent runs, and it will run. Synthesis, it will do next synthesis, and after that you'll do placements. After placement, it will do the static analysis, timing analysis. It will do the timing analysis and back annotation also. And after that, it will do a routing. After routing, it will again do post-route STA to get exact timing with parasitics. After that, migration, it will do some adjustments. After that, LVS layout versus schematic, that verification will be done, I mentioned, and DRC, design rule checks against the process file. At the end, it will give you the GDS2 string. Now, what are the tools there in the Kubeflow? So it uses Yosys for synthesis and Greyolf for placement. It's placing the cells and blocks. QRouter is the name of the tool for routing. Routing means detailed routing of metal layers, vias, and all those things after placing the thing. Magic is the tool which is used for layout and GDS generation, and also Magic has a nice GUI. You can visualize the layout, and you can may want to do some change and all those things. You can do that with Magic, and Magic can be used for analog circuit also, digital circuit also, for for what those who want to do library characterization or create your own cells. You can start by designing or drawing your transistor even there. So it's a very good tool, Magic. NetGen is used for LVS, layout versus schematic verification. This is done after layout. And OpenSTA is the tool which is used for static timing analysis. iVerilog is a simulator. It's not directly part of Qflow, but you need a simulator for at least simulation. So it's not like VCS or something which can do verification with like open OVM or PMM like that. But still, after writing Verilog file, bare minimum we have to write some test cases to see whether the design is working or not. So iVerilog can be used to simulate and see, yes, the basic functionalities are there in the Verilog HDL what we have written. And all those tools must be installed by yourself on Linux box. So Linux box, maybe some of them or maybe all of them has Windows port also. Port means they have a executor. You can build them to generate exe file which runs on Windows, but I would say you cannot trust that because that those functionalities are not supported. The libraries in Windows those are not well tested, and most of the people don't use it in Windows. So not many bugs are reported and not many bugs are reported. But I will not discourage it. See, what is the purpose of open source? Is creating an ecosystem for free, to design free. If you start using, you love it, you start using it Windows, file bugs, and people will fix those bugs, and you will be helping to make it robust in Windows also. So don't hate Windows. I'll say that. Okay, if you want to do that, do that. Yeah, we have to contribute to open source. Everybody has to contribute. We cannot just use the tools and not contribute for the betterment of the tools. We should do that. If you, but at the moment, if you want to trust the output and do a fabrication, that will not happen. But definitely you can pick one tool and use it in Windows and make it robust, file bugs, and you help that tool to match your own Windows platform. Yosys, what is Yosys? This is open source tools. Now I will go over each of the tools and tell you the basics, very basics, because in 2 hours I cannot express. And also, one person can be expert on any of these tools because these are the subdivisions of real estate design, and it takes years everybody, like who is a verification engineer, he will work on 20 years of verification, he'll become expert. Who does synthesis, the same thing. Who does DFT, like one person cannot be expert of all the tools. So I'll be talking about very basics and introductions of each tool, what it does, and what little bit of history. And you have to do on your study. Maybe later, if you contact me or somebody else who has used, he will always be happy to help you. But today, I'll just introduce the tools, all the tools in Keyflow. Yosys is the open source synthesis tool. It's pretty robust, pretty good, except Verilog 2005. But after Verilog 2005, also Verilog standard has also like advanced. It has many added features. It doesn't support that. So remember, when you are using Yosys tool or any other open source tool, it has some limitations or many limitations compared to the commercial tools. So you have to know that those limitations and be within the limits. But it is not that without the advanced feature you cannot do design. Yes, everything can be done. So you have to, but you have to adjust a little bit. It has a shell like DC shell or any other cadence. RTL compiler also has shell. You do RTLC and you get a prompt, and you can do a lot of things. Though that is called a shell. EOSys has also a shell, and you can type EOSys commands. You can use. Okay, the voice is breaking. Saw one message, but let's see.
No issue, sir. It's good, sir.
Tell me it is very bad, then
No,
probably
sir. It's fine.
I'll stop for a while and we'll start. Okay, let me continue now. It can be run in a script also. It has a shell. It can be run interactively, like after opening the shell. Um, you can type the commands, or if you know what you want to do, you can write all those in a Yosys script, and the Yosys tool can be called with the script. It will run and come out of Yosys tool. Written by Claire Zenia Wolf. Um, he has written it in 1999, and he is still maintaining it. Um, he's a great guy. I mean, hats off to him for writing such a good tool. And um, some other commercial synthesis tool have taken the code base from Yosys at some point of time or other. Yosys is ABC. ABC is another subtool within Yosys. It is a optimizer, logic optimizer. It optimizes the logics after Yosys synthesis. ABC is a kind of add-on to the Yosys, but you can use your own optimizer, or you can write your own optimizer and verify with Yosys and compare it with ABC or any other. You can claim that my optimizer is better. You can write papers like that. Many possibilities are there. And on top of that, you can write your own C++ code to do something and hook it onto the Yosys. Yosys has APIs, so that you can query the internal design and get information out of that, and you can do your processing and write your what is called downstream tool using Yosys. That is also possible with it. Where you can download, basically not download, these tools work under, I mean, work in GIT environment. You can just clone it from this address, and you can build it and you can use it. Okay, let me do something for voice. Okay. Let me see. If it is good, if it is better, is it better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start. The second tool in this suite is Grey Wolf. It's a placement tool. Placement, I think those who are not aware, uh, just for completeness, placement is a step which places the blocks. So the design is partitioned, and the tool will decide where to put exact gates on the silicon. So it creates a plan, a map kind of thing, and it will place all the gates like that. And for if it is hierarchical, then all the sub modules, their plates, their places as a block, and within the block, the gates are placed based on some parameters. Obviously, the area, power, crosstalk. There are many considerations. Those are inbuilt into the tool as algorithms. All algorithms are based on basic electronics, capacitance, inductance, resistance, and crosstalk. Crosstalk is very important. Again, Grey Wolf is even older than Yosis. It is written in 90s. Timberwolf is the commercial version, and Timberwolf later became, I think, Cadence Caliber or something like that. Not Cadence, Metagraphics. Metagraphics has taken Timberwolf. Yes. So Timberwolf was the earlier name. When Metagraphics took it, they named it Grey Wolf. The free version became Grey Wolf, and Timberwolf became their Caliber or something. I'm not sure, very sure, but I think it is Caliber. Again, Grey Wolf, it's also under GIT Hub. You have to clone it on your area, and you have to build it and install it. Q router is another part after placement when you have to connect all the transistor to the power VCC VDD, and there could be multiple layers of metal layer, the connectors, and all the connectors should also connect down to the cells, transistors. So these are done by Q router, and the congestion problem comes into picture here. And here also parasitics, crosstalks are very important. If the lines are too close, then it will increase the capacitance. If the lines are too long, it will increase the inductance, and because of that, lot of things can happen after fabrication, and bridge faults and all those faults. So it built-in algorithms are there. These each is a matching powers. So you can go there and master one tool, and also you should have the ideas of the others also. So it is left and day files. These are the process. It comes from the fab. Uh, the more accurate these two files, Q router or any router will do a better job. Moving on to the next. Name is OpenSTA. It's an open source STA tool. It has these algorithms inbuilt. That too, Menezes, Peligi algorithms are there. It's a very good tool, and this tool is used by open road projects also, by US Defense project. They are also using this tool for timing. So it's pretty good tool. You can trust the output of this tool. It reports the timing checks, from, through, to. Those who are familiar with timing, these are the common things: from, through, to, star, from one point to star, something like that. Multiple paths. It can give you the path delay along a path. It can find out false paths, multi-cycle paths, all those things, and it can give path delays also. Edge exception points and simple edge. It can also find out, and this is the GIT repository where you can clone it from and to build on your own. NetGen is a schematic versus this thing. A schematic versus layout application. It is at par with commercial tools, so that is why it is used. It has also a shell, and it can be done interactively, or it can be used as a script also. This is written by Massimo Civilotti, Italian guy, and you can download this open source from this GIT. So just to make you aware, schematic, after you create the layout, means your metals are there, your cells are placed. Now it is good to be printed on silicon. So before that, you want to verify whether what you are going to fabricate is same as the Verilog thing. So this is verified by formal techniques with the gate level netlist. So this is done like that, so that you are sure the tool has not done something wrong, so that you can verify your layout with the schematic. NetGen, and this is the last tool, Magic. It's a versatile tool. It can do a lot of things for backend. It is written in 80s by John Aus. It can do layout, extraction, means parasitics extraction. Then it does the DRC rule check, design rule check for fabrication for the process. It generates the GDS true picture, and also it can visualize. So the background picture, there's the picture of a laid out small, very small design viewed by Magic. The GUI is like that: file, option, DRC, and I think it is advisable for the young researchers or students to get familiarized with Magic. It's a wonderful tool. You can design your own transistor here also if you like. You can design your A to D converter or any analog design, and also you can resize gates and all those things. Um, uh, yeah, I'll come about the system requirements. That is very good question. I'll come to that. It can do, and this is the GIT repository. You have to clone it from here. So I'm going little bit. I have just touched upon the tools. I have not told you in very detail, because one thing, I cannot be expert of all them. One guy mostly can be expert in one or two, but still it's I should mention them. Now opportunities. Where is the opportunity? Why you use now? Why you start using open source tools? Yes, first of all, is there are a lot of incentives, lot of activities. People are putting efforts, including US Defense, to develop the open source tools, so that small companies, small people, not companies, like a single person, a student, like a young professional, or research fellows, they are coming up with their own ideas in circuits and all these things, and they should be enabled to verify their design, and that the tools they cannot trust will not work. So that is a apart from defense also many universities or many individuals and myself also, I regularly contribute to develop open source tools. I feel that yes, we need to do this. This is like in IEEE also. See, I'm part of IEEE CAS society, and this lecture I'm doing because I'm in CAS. So I feel that I should what you call advance my profession. I should also advance my profession, and I should be doing some amount of open source work, contribution like that. So people from their individual capacity also they are doing developing these tools. And there are incentives or drives from Google Skywater. They are coming up with PDKs like process development kits so that people can be those can be fabricated. efabless.com. You can this thing invite Skywater. You can click to that invite.skywater tools. You will get a invitation. You can log in or sign up for Google plus Skywater program. In eFabless, you can do that, and you can do all those things. eFabless.com is a marketplace also. If you are able to design your IPs, you can list them. People can buy from there. Lot of things are happening. I'll request all of you to go and take it in as a commercially also, as a moral responsibility also, whatever it takes. And for all those things, Linux environment can be created. Okay, okay, yeah. So for Google Skywater, all the open source tools you have to install in your Linux environment, and eFabless, I told you can use it in their cloud. Their cloud. You have to. So there is no point, no requirement of your own Linux box, but ultimately all the tools run in Linux environment. And the last point, the good thing is Windows 10. After some build latest like last 1 year, they have included what is called WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. So you don't have to have your own Linux separate machine. It is not a virtual machine also. It's part of Windows now. You can run Linux. I'll show you today. You can run Linux on Windows, and all those tools will work on the Linux environment inside your Windows. That is the good thing. And for the GUI, this is Xserver, VC XSRV. This has to be installed in your Windows, and you can see all those things. Prerequisite. Some people are asking what we need. Linux, Ubuntu is the most supported Linux, most user friendly also. Its desktop environment is fabulous. It's equivalent to Windows. So you can download it. Ubuntu can be downloaded in older machine also. It doesn't need very high processor, high-end devices. And if you the standard Ubuntu, they have one GUI. Sorry, the desktop environment that takes a little bit of more CPUs. But if you want the vanilla plain Ubuntu, there is called XFCE desktop environment. If you install that, that can be run in 10-year, 15-year-old machine also. So Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL, is a great. if you search Google, you will see how to install or how to enable WSL. That is very standard process they have given. Within few hours, you can configure your Windows to run Linux. It's very easy and very interesting. You don't have to change your system. You don't have to run virtual machines. Virtual machines are very heavy. This WSL is very light, like that. So basically, WSL is also Ubuntu 20.04 LTS and VCXR. This is needed if your executable will start GUI. Then you need this X server. For compiling the EDA tools, the open source VLSI design tools, you need lot of Linux packages, and all the Linux packages are available, of course, in Ubuntu. In Ubuntu, I think many of them are pre-installed, but in WSL you have to install them. But believe me, they are available. You will not see that this package is not available in Windows subsystem. Yes, it is available because I am using it. So I have tested very extensively. So WSL is ready, good to go. But the this last point is very important. Robust knowledge of Linux environment is needed. You have to know Linux in and out. Why? Because all these tools, they are not installing Windows or installing app in Android. No, not like that. You have to clone it from GIT. You have to have the knowledge of GIT, how it works. Basic knowledge is fine. But other knowledge, what are the knowledge? Several years of experience in working with Linux is needed. Several years means it doesn't mean that a student cannot do that. A person can acquire several years of experience in anything if he is passionate, he is spending time. So several years of experience, it's a relative thing. It is not to discourage anybody, but to mention that you have to have real good knowledge, because these tools are, you will not get support. 1, 2, 3, 4% are developing, and they will not answer your questions on small things. So you have to be able to understand the error message while building or while installing, and you have to solve your own thing. Strong knowledge of build system of C++ code. I am not talking about C++ code. Strong knowledge, build system, how C++, large amount of code, hundreds of thousands of lines of code is built. What is the make file, how it works, how CMake works. All those things has to be, I mean, there is no other way. I mean, I'm sorry, but you have to know. You have to know. It's complex, but it is not impossible. Like, it's not very hard, but you have to have that knowledge. And third thing, solid knowledge of compiling C++ code. It is not a one file where the main is also there in the file and some other functions, and not like that. It's like hundreds files, some 50, 60 files, many directories. Directories are, there are outputs, shared library outputs, static library outputs. Those multiple directory outputs are linked in the top directory. A lot of complex software architecture. You will love it. I mean, those who want challenges, you will love it. This kind of code, the compilation build is really interesting. Prerequisite continues. What are the other prerequisites? Obviously, analog and digital electronics fundamentals. You can gain it. It is not that several years of experience. No, whatever you want to, small knowledge of analog circuit, you can try it. No problem. It's that. but several years of experience in Verilog. Okay, so I was in this slide. Um, so Verilog knowledge you need, and open source designs may be used from opencourse.org. Like open source initiative, there is another initiative called OpenCore. Open course here you can see the free Verilog designs like SPI protocol, some processors, I2C designs. Even if you don't have time to design your own, you can take these course and write the test bench to verify. And if it meets your need, then you can go for fabrication of those cores. You can do little bit of addition deletion on your like ideas. Suppose if you need a API core and you want to add some more functionality, you can use the open course SPI core from opencourse.org and download it and use add your own Verilog file little bit, and your development cycle is pretty fast. But you have to verify those designs very well. Fair amount of knowledge of all steps in VLSI design, like simulation, synthesis, LEC, STA, DFT, physical design concepts you need to know, and tools also you have to be familiar to use. So, am I audible properly now?
Yes, sir, it's
Yes, sir, you're
audible.
audible, sir.
Okay. What challenges? Open source tools are documentation is very poor. So this is one challenge. Tool support means how to install, what are the problems you are facing during installation, during running, or any crashes happens. It's like there are no people actually. People only concentrate on developing them. There are few, I mean, still you can file the bugs. If it is a really algorithmic bug, then they will fix it. Small things, actually, they don't have time actually to fix those things. Um, Open source tool feature enhancements. If you want some features to be added in the software tool, that takes a lot of time again because the developers are very less. So if you like, you can contribute in that also. You can be a developer also. You can be developer also for a open source tool. Warnings, error message which comes out of tools at not good. Sometimes you'll not be able to understand those things. By using it again and again, you will be expert on this thing. Ability to handle big designs is not proven. I am not saying that they cannot handle, but not many people have used them for big designs. Runtime may not be issue. It can run on a pretty old hardware also, so that is not an issue. And it's simple. Multi-threading, multi-core support is not needed for to run this thing. So in that way, these are good. And most of them doesn't have very high or GPU kind of algorithms, so they are pretty lightweight uh, like that. And the bottom line is one has to be a jack of all trades. If you want to use the tools, you have to know everything. And that is kind of like you need time for that, definitely. So the last message, of course, thank you for being with me, spending almost hours. It's really good. And there are success stories. People are being succeeded. They are designing with it. They are taping out like that. So with that, I'm done for today's lecture. If you have time, I can show a demo. But if you don't have time, then I can take the questions and answer them first. Over to you, Dr. Jalaja.
Sir, sir, please show the demo, sir. You can continue, sir. Hello, sir. Please show the demo, sir. We have enough time, sir. Look, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Hello, Alok sir. Please show the demo, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
At least any one of the two, you show the demo, sir. Hello, Alok sir. Hello. Alok sir.
Hello, I'm not able to hear anything.
Your voice is audible, sir. Hello.
Yeah, now I can hear. Yes.
You can give the demo, sir. You have enough time.
So shall I show the demo, or I
Yes,
think
sir.
let us take some questions first.
Okay,
Oh,
sir.
shall I? Yeah, it is your choice. You can, whatever you want to do.
You show the demo first, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. So I have to connect to my other machine. This is interesting, like having 2 or 3 machines. One is running this and that. It's good. Plus code compilation knowledge is a must. And this code is very robust. I mean, you need to have that for sure. Um, um, okay. This is my another machine, and as you see, this machine is also Windows. If you see the look and feel, the second machine that I have connected, it is also Windows. I'm not using Linux, and I have installed Ubuntu. That is, it is Ubuntu LTS, but basically this is what I was talking about, Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL. I have installed it in my Windows, and I can run any Linux software here. This is my console for Linux, and I have to start another program here, which is I have in my slide VCXSRV. This is X server. Why? Because if your Linux program, if it opens any GUI, then you have to have X server. Otherwise, it can run the console programs. It cannot run GUI. For running GUI, you need this piece of software. There are some initial setting, multiple windows. Yeah, I need that. Start no client. Yes, that is true. I don't need to start any client. Disable access control I have to do because I can connect anytime to my X server. Okay, my X server is running now. Okay, so let me go to the design directory. Um, See here, I have installed all the Open Qflow this thing tools by GIT. I'll not go into that. That is itself like long topic. I can show all the error like if you are facing any problem, I can show that. But that can you if you try first and come back in another session, probably I'll be able to help you. No issues. But today I will go just see how the flow works. So open course. I have downloaded some design from open course that I told in my presentation. I'll go to that open course. Here I have SPI protocol and sample design. This is very small um, sample design. Um, okay. Um, okay. Okay, this is my sample design. This is very small code. If I show you sample.b, um, this is 87 line of code. This is small IP. It's a clock controller, clock generator, I think. 87 lines of Verilog code, including comments and all those things. Um, because of the demo, I am using this thing. Please bear with me, some connection problem by other machine. Hopefully it will resolve very soon.
Alok sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. We'll go for the query session, sir.
Yes, true.
Let's start with the questions. Is there any open source tool for verification?
Not really. There is no verification tools for verification.
Okay, sir. Next question. Can we do scan, ATPG and EDT in fault?
I have to check. Scan, of course, yes. Scan and compression you can do. Uh, yes. No, sorry. Scan and ATPG you can do, but EDT means compression. I have to check. I'm not sure.
Sir, can you give, you have specified about the limitations of IOSIS. You just said there is some limitations. Can you enlighten what are all the limitation we can come across?
For USIS, first of all, it supports Verilog 2005. So after that, Verilog 2009, Verilog 2012 has evolved as a standard. Also, System Verilog. So it supports what is important in, but not everything is supported. Not very complicated things, class structures, and like inheritance. Not everything is supported there. And also 2005, most of the non-system Verilog things are supported, but there may be still unsupported thing which the commercial tools are able to handle. And third thing, if there is a syntax error or semantics error, that EOSIS tool cannot catch. So if you have a Verilog design, suppose you have downloaded from this thing, downloaded from open course. Don't run it on EOSIS first. First, use any open source simulator like iVerilog or Odin to check the syntax and other constructual problems of Verilog. So these are the known limitations of EOSIS.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Can Mac support EDA tools?
Which one can?
Mac, iPhone, Apple Mac.
Yes. Apple Mac is best. You need to install. Sorry, you don't need Ubuntu or anything. Like Mac is basically a Linux system, so it has support for Mac.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add to that, all the open source tools, if you see the build make file or CMake file or the config file, it has options for Windows. If system is Windows, if system is Linux, if system is Mac, then it defines many things. So you have to clone from GIT and then you have to follow the steps to build. During that time, it should be able to build on Mac, because most of the open source tools have taken care of build system which is present in Mac. If something is not present, it will give you error message. Then you have to install those packages in your Mac. So after that, I think you will be able to use it in Mac.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Next question. Is it necessary to install libraries along with the open source tools?
Yes, absolutely. So what will happen? First, what I will say that don't install any, because if you go to Qflow website, you will see the dependencies. You can do at one shot. You can do like sudo apt get install all those things then it will install one by one huge amount of libraries. Then you can start installing the EDA tools. That you can do. Fine, but if you want to be more like curious and more adventurous, then first try to build your EDA tool. Then it will say that okay, this package is not available. Then you install it, again run it, then another package it will complain. So it can be fun also for some people. Some people may be annoyed. Okay, I'll do all the installation first, then I don't want to do one by one like onion peeling. So it is up to you. But all those libraries are needed. Otherwise, tools will not be built.
Thank you, sir. Is there any open tool source to learn VHDL?
VHDL, yeah, in Google there are a lot of free books. VHDL can be done. And Jairam Bhaskar, I think that is the Bible. We all, when we are young, we started our career, we used to read that book. It's very good. Jairam Bhaskar, VHDL, Introduction to VHDL.
Sir, they're asking about the tool, sir.
Oh, VHDL tool. Okay. VHDL tool, open source. No, I think I am not sure. I have not seen.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Next question. How to create Linux environment in Windows? Can you brief, sir?
Okay. So there are instructions, but basically what you have to do, you have to open a command prompt or PowerShell there. If you go to the settings of Windows settings systems, and there are something called like add features or enable features, that kind of, I don't remember exactly those kind of things. There WSL will be listed. You have to enable or add add-ons, kind of this kind of thing, or simply search WSL in systems. You will see how to enable it. Either of these two methods you can do. After enabling it, or after from the command prompt, after adding it, you have to restart your Windows system. After restarting Windows system, then you have to go to Windows Store. If you go to Windows Store, you search for Ubuntu. Then in Windows Store, you will see Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. That is the Ubuntu distribution that WSL uses. You download it. It is almost like 1 GB or something. After you finish downloading it, then install it. Windows Store is like Google App Store, so it will automatically install. After installing it, then that Ubuntu, what I have shown in my machine, that Ubuntu will come in your list of programs in the start menu. Then you click on it, then Linux prompt will come. And the X server that you have to serve, VCXSRV. That package you have to serve in the search in the Google. You'll get it, download it. This is a exe file. Just install like any other thing. So now you are fine. Maybe you can restart one more time. After that, your command line also will work. Your GUI, Linux GUI will also work.